He watches the world argue through the same recycled pain. The tribes have changed their flags, their skin tones, their gods. But the script hasn't changed. Every generation swears it's fighting for truth, when really, it's fighting for a seat at the same old table. In this version of the story, it's about race. In another, it was religion. Before that, it was class, bloodline, empire. Different costumes, same plot. Humanity clings to its suffering like a badge, never realizing pain has become its favorite form of identity. He watches people divide themselves into boxes, some built from guilt, some from pride. And the black box is the one few ever escape. Not because the walls are strong, but because inside there's comfort, there's applause for outrage, there's belonging in the wound. To step out of that box is to be called names: traitor, sellout, house slave. But to stay inside is to be caged by history. A ghost reliving an old loop. He knows this because he's seen it before. Many times, many lives. Empires rise and fall like lungs inhaling and exhaling power. Souls return, replaying roles they once swore they'd escape. The warrior becomes the victim. The victim becomes the ruler. The pattern continues until one finally remembers. This is all just a simulation, a school for the soul. From that higher view, the drama loses its gravity. It's not that the past doesn't matter, it's that you stop mistaking it for you. The ancestors did their part. Their pain was the lesson. Ours is to graduate. And if there's one thing to remember here, stop defending the cage you were born into. You don't owe the world your outrage. You owe your soul your evolution. Identity can be a prison or a path. The difference is whether you keep looking back or start remembering forward. He's seen this pattern before. The moment someone dares to think differently, the crowd turns on them. Humanity praises freedom until it meets someone who actually uses it. They call them names: sellout, bounty, outcast. Words forged to shame the ones who escape the hive. Every society invents its own vocabulary for betrayal. Not betrayal of truth, but betrayal of group emotion. He watches them talk about justice while worshipping outrage. Rage has become the new religion. And pity, it's holy water. The modern world doesn't crucify bodies anymore. It crucifies reputations. A tweet becomes a trial. A disagreement becomes a sin. But the truth is simpler. Most people don't want freedom. They want permission. Permission to stay comfortable inside a story where they're always the hero, never the villain. And anyone who threatens that illusion becomes the enemy. He remembers what it felt like to wake up in that illusion, to question why everyone hated a man they never met, to realize outrage had become a kind of social currency. He saw people who claimed to fight oppression become addicted to the performance of it. He saw how easily a human can mistake attention for change. And so, he stopped playing the part. Not because he didn't care, but because he cared enough to stop lying. Cared enough to see that truth doesn't need an audience. Cared enough to accept that every revolution eventually becomes the thing it once rebelled against. The system doesn't punish you for being wrong. It punishes you for being unpredictable. That's why thinkers become threats. That's why neutrality is rebellion now. Here's the thing about real freedom. You don't have to play every argument. You don't have to audition for approval. when people shame you for thinking freely. Remember, outrage is control. The moment you stop seeking permission to be yourself, you stop being programmable. He's seen this game before, played it even. Different skins, different names, same pattern. Every civilization swore it would last forever, that its gods, its armies, its morals were the final version of truth. But truth doesn't belong to anyone. It only borrows the voice of whoever holds power that century. Once, it was Egypt, masters of earth and sky. Then Babylon, dreamers of stars and kings. Then Rome, law, conquest, empire. Then the Ottomans, the Mongols, the British, the Zulu kingdom. Each believed their story was destiny, until they became someone else's history lesson. And every time power changed hands, language changed with it. We once spoke Sumerian, the tongue of the first cities, then Aramaic, the trade code of wandering empires, then Greek, philosophy and reason, then Latin, law and domination, then Arabic, knowledge and mathematics, then French, diplomacy and refinement, and now English, the language of algorithms, contracts and control. These eras overlapped, but every crown had a tongue. Every era had its empire. Every empire, its voice. But the next empire may not speak at all. It may code. He watches humanity forget that every ruler was once a slave. Every slave once a ruler. The cycle never breaks, because the players keep changing masks instead of changing minds. They still compete over who suffered more, never realizing suffering was never meant to be compared, only transcended. Pain is not a trophy, it's a teacher. And those who learn from it evolve beyond tribe, beyond skin, beyond story. Those who don't relive the same lesson again and again. Another lifetime, another empire, same karma, new costume. He's seen souls return to settle old debts. Once kings, now peasants. Once conquerors, now healers. Once slaves, now masters. Each role chosen, not as punishment, but as education. The universe isn't cruel, it's consistent. Earth is the school, suffering is the syllabus, and consciousness, the only graduation. If you really want to break the loop, history repeats itself until awareness interrupts it. Don't inherit pain like it's sacred. Learn from it, then let it go. You are not your ancestors' wounds. You are their evolution. And the moment you see the pattern, you stop being the pawn. He watches humanity run in circles, chasing flags, followers, and feelings. Calling it progress, they still think freedom is a political award, handed down by systems that never understood the soul. But systems can only give permission. Freedom has to be taken, not through violence, through awareness. The real rebellion isn't overthrowing rulers. It's refusing to be ruled by illusions. He's seen the ones who wake up, the few who stop asking who's to blame and start asking, what am I still repeating? They stop defending history and start decoding it. They stop arguing about skin and start repairing spirit. That's when the simulation starts to crack. Because once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. The algorithms of outrage lose their grip. The headlines feel like deja vu. And suddenly you understand. You were never born into a world. You were loaded into a program. The only exit key is awareness. Freedom isn't comfort. It's clarity. It's standing alone in the noise and knowing you don't need to prove your humanity to anyone. It's choosing truth over tribe, peace over popularity, and purpose over pain. Empires will rise again. Languages will evolve again. But the awakened ones They won't be fighting for the next throne. They'll be building something entirely different. A mind that can't be enslaved. He smiles. Not with pride, but recognition. The game never really ends. It just keeps offering you chances to remember who you are. And remembering is the real escape. Because in the end, the system can own your job, your image, your records, but it can't own your awareness. Stop reacting. Observe. Stop obeying the script. Rewrite it. That's not rebellion. That's evolution.